Do you guys know what time it is? That's right. It's time for the post-game show for One Piece chapter 1152. So in case this is your first time here, how this works is that now that the chapter has released, I like to go back through the full spoiler videos comment section to see what everybody's talking about. What are the hot topics? What are the theories? What are the opinions? I gotta find out, and you guys are gonna join me on that adventure. So with that being said, let's get right to it. Let's not waste any time here. The translations on the moment with Sanji talking about Zoro and Jinbei's stock is insane. Yeah, and what's funny too is I follow a Twitter account called The Will of Marco, and he posted the translations as well, like his versions of it, and he did say that, yeah, it pretty much does mean that Zoro and Jinbei stocks are up, and Sanji wants his to be up too. Pretty crazy, right? For a minute, it actually sounds like Oda is joining Agenda Piece. So this next comment says, yeah, being Joy Boy is Luffy's destiny. He liberated Shanks from the shackles of the devil, parentheses, Emu. He's been doing this since he was a kid. I mean, hell, you could even argue that Luffy liberated Ace and Sabo too, right? Like Sabo and Ace, man, they were very different characters than they are today. Right? Ace was a rapscallion, dude. Ace was over here beating Luffy, hating on pirates generally, right? And then now look at Ace, right? He's changed. He's better. He's also dead. And then Sabo, right? Sabo, he's also changed a good amount. You know, Luffy just has that effect. He is the child of destiny as well. I wonder, you know, ever since Shanks gave up that arm for Luffy, I wonder if Shanks also places bets in Luffy as the real child of destiny. Like, what if from Shanks' perspective, he passed that title on, his title, onto Luffy? I think that would make sense, and you gotta remember, this whole show, One Piece, is filled with inherited will. So boom, you know, Luffy is inheriting Shanks' will, believe it or not, right? Whether Luffy knows it or not, that's pretty much what's happening. Gabban looks like he wants Sanji to recognize his own strength, the power of his love. Yeah, that's what it seems like, right? I do wonder, now that we have the chapter in front of us, Sanji's like, hey, old man, what about me? What about my Conqueror's Haki? We cut off, and then we just see a panel of Sanji with his mouth open. So it does look like Scopper told Sanji something, but we don't know exactly what it is, right? It's either that Sanji has Conqueror's Haki and he has to master it himself. Maybe Sanji's always been using Conqueror's Haki, which would be absurd. Or maybe Sanji can't get Conqueror's Haki, right? I think the verdict is still out in the courts, but, you know, I have always been a solid believer of Sanji. I think Sanji's gonna get it. You know, if he has to recognize his own strength, so be it. You know, maybe this has to fall in line with the woman being in danger. Maybe Sanji can only activate it when women are in peril, because I think that could work, especially here in Elbaf, where Nami is chained up due to Gonko's arrows, and since Robin is currently tied up with Saint Somers' thorns, they need a hero. They need Sanji. Hopefully, he steps up to the plate. And I like to throw this out there too, but we gotta remember, Scopper's wife, Ripley, the most beautiful giant in Elbaf, she's going out to save her son Colin, who is currently shepherding Colin, Saint Somers. If Ripley loses that battle, I think our guy Sanji is gonna show up. And if he is going to unlock Conqueror's Haki, I do not think there is a more opportune moment than here and now. But that is my own personal opinion, right? If you guys disagree, that's fine, but, you know, we gotta see it, man. I cannot live knowing that a wing of the Pirate King is not gonna have Conqueror's Haki. That'd be absurd. That'd be absurd. This says, nah, why is Zoro still confused about having conquerors? Kaido literally said it to his face, and King alluded to it too. We gotta remember, some of the Straw Hats, typically it's a Luffy, Chopper, Usopp thing, but some of the Straw Hats are kind of dumb, right? Ooh, we're kind of hard-headed. So Zoro not knowing, I think that kind of makes sense. And then, of course, it's not like Zoro had a mentor that taught him all about Haki, right? He had Mihawk, but we don't really know what the Mihawk training looked like. Luffy had Rayleigh, and Rayleigh told him about his Conqueror's Haki. So I do think that the simplest solution to this is just that Zoro doesn't know much about Haki in general, right? Maybe he knows about observation, maybe armament, but Conquerors is just, you know, it's up in the wind. Which, I wonder, does that say anything about Mihawk, right? Like, if Mihawk has Conqueror's Haki, and if Mihawk taught Zoro armament and observation, why not teach him about Conquerors? I don't know. The topic of Mihawk with Conqueror's Haki, that's been like a hot debate for a while now. I feel like he should have it as the pinnacle of the verse of swordsman. Mihawk has to have it, right? Like, it would be crazy if he didn't. And if he did, then why not talk to Zoro about it? Especially if Zoro is leaking Conqueror's Haki. I mean, of course, we don't know when the leak started, but my God, Mihawk, what are we doing here? Maybe he's not the best mentor out there, man. Maybe. This says Sanji. Minor setback for a major comeback. I agree. Dude, see, Oda loves memeing on Sanji, but the memes, brother, they can only last for so long. I believe in my guy. I believe in him. This says, I like how Gabban calls out Zoro. It's reminiscent of how Zoro called out Luffy and the crew in Water 7 when Usopp left. Yeah, Zoro told Luffy to be an actual pirate captain. And here, Gabban's telling Zoro to be a wing of the Pirate King. Like, brother, your captain is a Yonko. What are you doing? What do you mean you don't know Conqueror's Haki? You don't know how to use it? You don't know what you have? I love that. And my favorite thing about it is that Zoro agrees, right? If Zoro disagreed, he'd be arguing with Scopper. But even Zoro's like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should be doing better. You know, maybe this guy's actually kind of cooking. I find it crazy that Luffy was aware of it this entire time, but never told him. I mean, here's the thing, brother. This is Luffy we're talking about, right? This is Luffy. Luffy just, you know, he's like that. He's like that. Saw someone say, Shanks is the first person that Luffy liberated, and honestly, that shit is so peak. I agree. I saw this on Twitter and TikTok earlier too, and like I said, you know, this is a corny ass line. Shanks is the first person that Luffy liberated? Beyond corny. But I love corn, dude. Oh, yeah. I thought that was fire. You know, generally when I see these one-liners, I'm like, you know, it's kind of cheesy. I'm not a big fan of it. But this right here, nah, it damn near brought a tear to my eye. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I saw the picture of, you know, Shanks with his arm ripped off, and I'm currently rewatching One Piece for like the 4th or 5th time, and I'm on like episode 12 right now, and I just got past like the whole Shanks flashback, and it kind of hit even harder, man. It kind of hit hard. This says, time dilation feels confirmed. Imu is most likely angry and arriving in Elbaf because the Holy Knights have been there for days and not hours. The world may be weeks, if not months, in the future by the time the Straw Hats leave, and they will enter a brand new status quo. Yes. And I'm excited for it. You know, I'm excited to see how the world has moved ever since the Straw Hats arrived here in Elbaf. Like, I want to see how Cross Guild has progressed. Boa Hancock, Impel Down, Gecko Moria, right? Dragon. We got Blackbeard after the Ancient Weapons. I think it'd be really cool if Oda somehow ties in time dilation with the cover page story. Like, imagine we get something happening in the cover page, and then the Straw Hats leave, and then we find out that that event happened a long time ago because of time dilation. I think that would be peak. I really do. You know, I've been pretty vocal about not enjoying the cover page story, at least for the past couple of weeks. So if Oda does it, if Oda pulls like a switcheroo, like, oh, this is happening to Yamato, but it's also happening over here too at the same time, like a character is at 2 places at the same time, that would be so cool. You know, and then Oda just comes in, and he's like, yeah, the reason why that is because time is a little bit wacky. Elbaf, time shenanigans back on the table with this one. 3 to 4 years for Gabon being 10 years for Shanks is a huge foreshadowing. Yeah, and I wonder if somebody will mention this to the Straw Hats. Like, surely the Giants know about this, right? Surely Gabon knows about this now. Like, hey, Straw Hats, by the way, we know you love Elbaf, but you kinda should go. Like, you should maybe leave before it's too late. I think that'd be kind of interesting. You know, just who is gonna be the first character who pops that cherry for the Straw Hats? But what if while you're on Elbaf, you don't know it's actually happening? Because let's be real, time dilation already is a pretty crazy concept. So who's to say that because time is so odd that even if you know what's happening, you can't really understand it? Like, even though Gabon realizes that 3 to 4 years is actually a decade, what if he doesn't even know what's happening, right? Like, what if he looks at the Straw Hats and he's like, I feel like I should tell them something, but it's kind of eluding my mind. Would not be shocked. This right here says, am I the only one who noticed that Harold was 45 but 15 in human years, and giants typically live to be about 300? So the time dilation theory of 3 to 1 makes so much sense. And yes, I agree. And I wouldn't be shocked if this also explains how giants came into existence in the first place. It's not a different race. It could just be humans. Maybe humans stayed on Elbaf for too long and they just got stretched 3-1. I think that'd be pretty cool. And maybe this could even explain Yarul a little bit as well, because Yarul is the oldest living giant at 408 years old, and he's only getting bigger. And this comment says, Gabban ignored Sanji because he knew that's what would make him mad enough to unlock it. Yeah, it's funny because according to the spoilers, Gabban ignores Sanji, but when you see the chapter, it doesn't look like Gabban ignored him. I mean, there could be a world where he did ignore him, and obviously Scopper goes to the Loki and Harden conversation, but at least from my interpretation, when I read the chapter, it kind of looked like Gabban told Sanji something off screen. You know, it looks like Gabban maybe spilled a couple of secrets, which is kind of funny, right? Gabban over here calling out people who have Conqueror's Haki. His observation is that good. He's like, oh, Sanji, you actually have it, but you haven't unlocked it yet. You know, it's still hidden away behind some microtransactions. That'd be kind of fun. This one says, the narrator's box reminds us that Harald being 45 to 15 in human years lines up with the 3 days in the rest of the world for every 1 day in Elbaf that Arnaud may have been warning about. Yes, yes, yes. This one says, Zoro just casually leaking COC is just peak Zoro glaze, and I am loving it. Me as well, brother. Gabban definitely felt like he was calling out Zoro as a rival, like he would have Rayleigh. Like he said the same thing to Rayleigh when they were younger. And him ignoring Sanji was more like him disappointed with himself, like he's seen a lot of Sanji in him and upset he hasn't fully realized the power of love. Definitely feels more like rivals calling each other out. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like the rivalry parallel. Like that is why he's like so harsh on Zoro. And then maybe for Sanji, maybe he's rooting for him. Maybe he's not disappointed, but instead he gives Sanji some really good advice. You know, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I kept getting the feeling that Chopper is going to fabricate a way for non-Conqueror Haki users to be able to attack the Holy Knights. Chopper had a reaction to Scopper's successful attack on Sommers, and Oda had Chopper come along to basically hear the reason why there was a successful attack by saving Scopper from the fall. This is a good idea, huh? You know, I've seen this idea floating around, but not with Chopper, but for Luffy. You know, people are saying that Luffy might give the Straw Hats Conqueror Haki knots or Conqueror Haki clothing or something of the sort, but Chopper being the one to bridge that gap, I think would be really cool. And the thing is that you're right. You know, Oda made Chopper interested in this topic, and now they have the reveal, right? Conqueror's Haki is the way. It's how you use your Conqueror's Haki in battle. That is how you hurt the Holy Knights. That is something that Chopper cannot do. You know, Chopper came all the way for this answer, and it does not pertain to him whatsoever. Brother, in that Conqueror's Haki panel, Chopper was not there, right? It was Zoro and Sanji. Chopper was nowhere to be seen. Chopper, I think, had maybe 1 or 2 panels in this entire chapter. Chopper was MIA. So I think it would be really cool if Chopper actually bridges that gap somehow. Maybe it has to do with the Rumble Balls, because the Rumble Balls are kind of wacky, right? The Rumble Balls alter his Devil Fruit transformation. Crazy. And then we go over to Egghead Island and we see that Chopper manufactured a Rumble Ball to mimic Sulong form. It brought out Sulong form in Beppo, and Beppo ended up fighting Blackbeard. Maybe Chopper makes a Rumble Ball for all the Straw Hats. I don't know how that would work, right? Maybe Chopper imbues Haki in it. Maybe he finds some sort of medicine that mimics Haki. Or maybe Luffy works with Chopper and Luffy puts his Haki in the Rumble Balls and then the Straw Hats eat that. That'd be kind of sick. Kind of reminds me of Choji from Naruto, right? Where he's over here eating the red pill. Maybe that's it. Yeah, you know what? I'm definitely on board with Luffy and Chopper making some Haki balls together. This chapter is huge in many ways, but the fact that Shanks lost his arm while having the mark means the regeneration comes from something else, or the Lord of the Coast is a beast with advanced Conqueror's Haki. Yes. So chapter is out. You know, I gotta keep on saying that, right? These comments are made off of the spoilers. The chapter's actually out. We have the images. I think there's also a chance that Shanks does not have the full mark of the abyss. We see it on his arm, but it differs a little bit to what Sommers had on his arm and Killingham had on his arm when they were first introduced, right? We have the cross with the circle on Shanks's arm, But for Killingham and Somers, they also have like this loop, this curve right on top of it. Shanks is missing that. So perhaps Shanks didn't have the regeneration yet. Like maybe that arc symbolizes that you have regeneration. I think that could be it, but we will see. Also, when it comes to the Lord of the Coast, we do have to remember that he is a Sea King. So maybe it has to do with Sea Kings. Maybe Sea Kings all inherently are able to damage the Holy Knights. And that would bring Shirahoshi and her Poseidon powers back into play. Like, oh, the reason why Shirahoshi and Poseidon and the H-Wumps are so strong is because those can actually damage the HKs. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oda is either officially writing Sanji out of the crew, or he just told us that he has Conqueror's Haki. I'm going with the latter because, I mean, to be honest, brother, like when you think about Sanji and Zoro, some of the best panels we have of them are when they're working together. It would be crazy if Sanji and Zoro pulled off a dual attack, kind of like what they did back in Wano. Remember the Wano panel? We got Sanji kicking Queen, you know, Zoro slashing King. Imagine how lame it would be if we had another dual attack here in Elbaf. Zoro and Sanji attacking the Holy Knights, and then the person Sanji attacks, they're not hurt. You know, like they just get back up afterwards, and then Zoro's opponent's like on the ground writhing in pain. It can't happen. I think Sanji's gonna get it. Imagine the opposite. That is what I always fall back to. Imagine if he didn't have it, and he's over here fighting the HKs, and he's like, Zoro, lend me your Conqueror's Haki. Luffy, lend me your cock, please. Please, I need it. No. Can't happen. I refuse to believe it. Maybe I'm coping. But I don't want to envision that. I don't even want to think about it, man. This one says, Mr. President of the Zoro stands, another narrative hint of Sanji unlocking Conqueror's Haki has just hit the agenda. That's funny. If Garling was the one who killed Rocks, this would give so much credit as to why Blackbeard hates Shanks. No, you're not wrong. Yeah, there has to be a reason why Blackbeard fought Shanks in the past, because you gotta remember, Blackbeard at that time was laying low on Whitebeard's ship. Blackbeard was hiding in the shadows. Why did Blackbeard come out and fight Shanks? Maybe it's because of this right here. You know, this comment has nothing to do with the chapter, really, but I absolutely love it because I could see this being the case, right? And if that's the case, man, dude, Garling sounded like a damn powerhouse, man. This comment says, Zoro's Conqueror's Haki goes back to when he invented Ashura. I like it. I've seen people saying this, right? They said it's Ashura, they say it's Monet, and honestly, I'm all about it, right? We've seen instances of Haki in the past that was never really explained until post-time skip. So if you tell me that Ashura is Conqueror's Haki manifested, W. I'd say it's a W. But of course, for now, this is just simply a theory. A theory that I enjoy. It is funny how Shanks would have wanted to have Buggy as his pirate buddy, and years later, Mihawk casually did it. Oh, dude. Actually, now that you mention it, I do wish we could see Shanks' reaction to Cross Guild. Like, Shanks picks up a paper, sees Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile. What does he say? Like, does he look at Crocodile and he's like, it should have been me, Buggy, and Mihawk all in the same crew, bro. Dude, you know how busted that crew would be? That crew would be unstoppable. Shanks, Mihawk, and Buggy. I mean, hell, we can bring Crocodile in there too. We don't have to erase him. But yeah, that would be like the strongest pirate crew hands down. I mean, I'm a Shanks glazer. I'm a Mihawk glazer. You know, I'm on both sides of the coin. That's why when people are like, oh, you know, Sai, you're a Sanji fan, you're a Zoro fan. Like, brother, I'm both. Hey, I like multiple characters, brother. You put those guys on a crew, GG. I mean, just give up the One Piece at that point. But yeah, Shanks and Buggy, I do wonder how the dynamics would have been, because if Shanks joined Buggy when Roger got executed, we would see an entirely different Buggy. The Buggy we know of today is only the way he is because Shanks turned him down. If Shanks wanted to go for the One Piece right then and there, and they created their crew together, oh man, dude, imagine Usopp and Kabaji on the same crew. Alvida and Ben Beckman, right? Ooh, Usopp and Mr. 3. Oh, dude, these combos. That'd be crazy. Would they all get along? I have no idea. Would they even recruit those characters if they had each other? No idea. But it does make for some really fun fan canon. I think we saw that last chapter, the Gabban-Rayleigh relationship is similar to the Zoro and Sanji relationship. I'm thinking maybe Gabban knows that ignoring Sanji would push him to discover COC. Might be huge cope though. No, I think this could be the case, right? Now that we have the chapter, like I said a million times, I think Gabban did not ignore Sanji, but if he did, then maybe it was for the best. Whatever Gabban is telling or not telling Sanji, I think it is for the best. Gabban does feel like a mentor, like Rayleigh was, right? Rayleigh knew all about Haki. He knew the best ways for Luffy to perfect it, to train it up. I think Gabban is going to do the same thing. Maybe to a lesser extent, but I think he's helping the Straw Hats nonetheless. I personally don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't want to help the Straw Hats. I mean, hell, the Roger parallels. I mean, Shanks gave his arm for this crew, right? Like, there's no way. And then, of course, they're trying to save Elbaf. If these guys are trying to save Elbaf, man, and you cannot fight, yeah, you gotta help them, throw them some wise words, old man. This comment says, I really think Sanji getting interrupted before Gabban could answer his question will end up turning into something more. In my opinion, not even getting an answer makes me believe somewhat that he'll 100% get it soon. This one says, Gabban didn't confirm nor deny that Sanji has Conqueror's Haki. I love how this is the main topic. I will admit, I am surprised that the Sanji conversation is so vocal here. Typically it's a lot of Sanji downplay. Like whenever there's a Sanji chapter, I just see a lot of hate on him. But this time around, people are actually hyping him up, man. I gotta say, I'm impressed. So it's confirmed, Gabban has Supreme King's Haki. A lot of people were coping and using headcanon to say Gabban does not have Supreme King's Haki. Yeah, I mean, I can see why people were on the fence about it. Personally, I think he did, because of the way the lightning looked on his axe, but we do have to remember that when it comes to Black Lightning, Oda has been very wishy-washy on it. Like, we've seen clashes in the past or, fights in the past that have Black Lightning, but no Conqueror's Haki is being utilized. So I get why people were very hesitant, and I think there's nothing wrong with being hesitant either, right? Personally, like I said, I lean towards yes, but I also understood why people were saying no. So now, on to this next one. They say, I think Sanji might be leaking Haki as well, but I think Gabban ignored him because he sees himself in Sanji and is being embarrassed and ashamed to think of how he used to be, or shy to meet a kindred soul of love. That's so funny. Theory. Shanks and Mihawk both lived in the Holy Land for a time. This is where their rivalry started. When Shanks left to be a pirate, Mihawk went out to the seas as well to chase him down and kill him. Once Shanks lost his arm, Mihawk became less interested because he knew Shanks had escaped the fate of the Holy Knights. However, Mihawk is still a Holy Knight and has the mark of the Abyss. This could be why Zoro said that the Seraphim Mihawk was more, quote, human than the original. I like that. I do like the Mihawk Celestial Dragon theories. I think it all makes sense. I've talked about it before about how Mihawk is associated with the number 16. 16 is Emu's number. I mean, it means Emu literally. So I do think this Mihawk theory fits like a glove. And as far as Mihawk goes too, this could even explain why Mihawk works with the government and why he became a Shishibukai. It could be because they asked him to, right? Emu, the Holy Knights, they said, hey, Mihawk, you got to work for us. Like, you have the mark, you can't back down, you are becoming our errand boy. And that is why Mihawk doesn't really care about being a Shishibukai. Right? Like, dude, Mihawk at Marineford. Brother, he did not do anything. He showed up, one slash, done. Oh, there's Luffy, let me try to kill him. Oh, people are blocking? Okay, I'm cool. Hey, I'm done, guys. Oh, Shanks is here? Yeah, I'm going home. Like, that was Mihawk's reaction. Mihawk does not care about being a warlord. The only reason he liked it was because Marines didn't hassle him day in and day out. So yeah, it could be that, the Holy Knights strong-armed him, and while he was with the Holy Knights a long time ago, that is where he met Shanks. I enjoy that a whole lot. This gives the scar Blackbeard gave Shanks even more meaning if he had Holy Knight healing back then. I mean, forget the regeneration. If Shanks had Abyss, if Shanks had a transformation, if Shanks' sword is from the Holy Land even, brother, Blackbeard's crazy. Remember, this is a long time ago. This is Blackbeard without the Yami Yami no Mi. Blackbeard without the Gura Gura no Mi. You're telling me Blackbeard, who was on Whitebeard's crew, did that to Shanks? That is why Shanks gives so much credit to Blackbeard. People, day in and day out, I wouldn't say they underplay Blackbeard, but whenever I see like a power scaling list, Blackbeard is always like 5 spots below Shanks, and I don't get why that is. Like, I get the fact that Blackbeard hasn't performed well on paper, but Shanks is wary of him. Shanks is literally like gathering intel on Blackbeard. Shanks went to Wano to stop Blackbeard. Blackbeard is like Shanks' #1 threat. It's crazy. So yeah, Blackbeard stocks are going up with this chapter 100%. Whether Shanks had powers or not, I always got to give Blackbeard those flowers, right? And we got to remember, Shanks, you know, people always say, oh, you know, Blackbeard, you know, he was playing dirty, you know, Blackbeard stabbed him in the back. Shanks, when he was talking to Whitebeard a long time ago, he even said that he was not holding back. He said that he was taking Blackbeard seriously. Like, it was not like a, you know, stab you in the back kind of battle. No. Blackbeard was playing fair and square, apparently. Shanks was not hesitant, and Blackbeard still put the scar on this guy. I think that's always so crazy. Damn, I can never refer Sai, yo. Motion so heavy, boy. Proud of you, gang. Long time subber. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. So many people trash talked me over a year now when I said that the Giant's treasured fruit was Luffy's Nika fruit, and Loki was framed himself. Theory pretty much close to confirmed at this point. Yes. Loki is looking more and more innocent as time goes on. And of course, with the timeline that we have here, and with Shanks' appearance in Elbaf, I think the theory that the treasured fruit was Luffy's fruit is looking pretty good. This theory is looking pretty solid. You know, not confirmed yet, but of course, everything is pointing towards this direction. But if that's the case, what devil fruit does Loki have? Right? What devil fruit does Loki currently sport? Does he have one at all? Right? Because there's a chance he's just devil fruitless. But we will see. I still like the idea that Loki has a devil fruit. Even if it's not like the Sun God Nika fruit, just give him a random devil fruit, right? I think devil fruits are so fun. And since a lot of us have come to the expectation that Loki has something, we got to give him something. I hope Oda does not back out and say, oh yeah, like Loki actually didn't need anything, right? Because that would also make it to where Loki's Sea Stone chains would just be a little bit silly, right? And then plus, we got to remember that the Giants of Elbaf fought Loki in the past. So surely Loki showed something to where they said, oh, let's throw Sea Stone on him, right? Let's throw some Sea Stone chains on him so he cannot escape. I think he has something, but now the question just becomes what? What does this guy have? Insane chapter. I think even if Sanji doesn't currently have COC, he will unlock it soon. I honestly think the OG 5 Straw Hats might all get it. Usopp lied about having it, so it makes sense for him. And even though it was a joke, Jinbei asked Nami if she had it. That is true. The OG 5 Straw Hats all having Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, I like the idea. I've always been on board that Usopp will get it. But for Usopp, if he gets it, I think it'll be like Zoro, where Zoro has Conqueror's Haki, but he doesn't know he has Conqueror's Haki. I could see Usopp whipping it out once or twice, and he doesn't know what's going on. Like, maybe Usopp does it, and he's like, oh, like, who unleashed Conqueror's Haki here? But it was actually him. I think that is the best case scenario for Usopp. And then as far as Nami goes, it could be the same way. Because when it comes to Nami and Usopp, I can't imagine them learning advanced Conquerors. I can't imagine them perfecting it by any means. They could have it, but I think it's going to be like at a way lesser and lower tier than the Monster Trio. But of course, that's like my own personal opinion, right? It feels so good to finally get a glimpse of how Shanks thinks. He did mean it when he said to Buggy to return the stride to Luffy, for it is not that time yet. Man, I hope I'm still alive in the future just for One Piece. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is, right? Like, when you think about One Piece, man, like all the friends we lost along the way. Like, I had a friend that was reading and watching One Piece too. He passed away 2 years ago. And it's like, damn, bro, he's never gonna know what the One Piece is, bro. Maybe we get to laugh till he's over there. I don't know. Like I said, the length of One Piece is a blessing and a curse. Especially for Oda, right? Oda, he thought the series would be over 5 years in. And here we are, 27, 28 years later. And we're still trucking. We're still trucking. And I hope we all, everybody here does get to witness the end of One Piece. Because that'll be monumental. It really will. I think with the Louis Arnaud and Emu comments, this comment from Scopper is practically confirmation that there is a time dilation in Elbaf. We got a lot of time dilation people here, huh? Like, the minute Scopper dropped that one-liner, dude, everybody's like, yo, here it is. It's made its appearance. The real question is, why does Oda need time to go fast for the Straw Hats? More than Herald Flashback, I want to see what's happening in the outside world. I think this right here is exactly why Oda is bringing in time dilation. One, could be for the Straw Hats, but two, more primarily, I think it's so that Oda can speed up the rest of the world. You know, going back to this comment, right? You know, One Piece lasting a long time. There's one person in the world that knows that One Piece has been going on, and it's Oda. He's talked about it, how he goes outside, he sees happy families at parks, and he cries or he tears up sometimes because that should have been him, right? Oda has a whole ass family that he apparently doesn't really see that much, right? They asked him like, oh, Oda, what are you gonna do after One Piece? He said he's gonna travel with his family. So yeah, I think Oda's trying to speed this up, and I can't blame him. I just hope that we do get glimpses of what happened. I hope it's not all off screen, right? I think it would be kind of sad if we leave Elbaf and we just have to accept how the world is. You know, I hope we go back in time, like the Reverie flashback, for example, and we see what actually went down. Imagine Cross Guild, right? Cross Guild is going after the One Piece. They need poneglyphs. They need to go to Wano. They need to go to Whole Cake. They need to go to Zoe. Personally, I want to see that. You know, maybe not everybody feels the same way, but Mihawk, Buggy, and Crocodile and Whole Cake against Katakuri and maybe even Big Mom? Whoa. Buggy and Wano reuniting with the Scabbards? Another whoa, right? Buggy going to Zoe and saying, hey guys, long time no see. Dude, yeah, you know, people might not want that chapter, but I do. I do, brother. I do. Buggy went mad because he felt betrayed by Shanks. So if Shanks stuck around, Buggy would be a good guy. If I remember correctly, Buggy wanted for Shanks to become Pirate King and himself to be his right hand. Well, left hand would be more useful now. From Buggy's perspective, Shanks gave up, which also crushed him. Yeah, that crushed him. Was it Buggy who was also crying in the chapter where Shanks said no to? Like, this genuinely changed Buggy's entire trajectory, in my opinion. Like, if Buggy and Shanks started their pirate crew, dude, Buggy's mastery of the Bar no Mi, it would be nuts, dude. Oh my god. Buggy with the Bar no Mi, oh, dude. He'd probably be awakened. You know, Buggy'd probably have crazy Ryuo, maybe even future sight. You know how Shanks showed up to Marineford and Ben Beckman pointed the gun at Kizaru? Imagine that. But Buggy, you know, he's got this stupid hand with the knives on. He's like, don't move, Kizaru. Oh, yeah, that'd be some really good stuff. But yeah, with that being said, though, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video and leaving those comments in the previous video. I really freaking appreciate it, man. I always say this, you know, it's cheesy, kind of like the Shanks and Luffy line, but this video would genuinely not be possible without you guys here. And yeah, hopefully you guys take care. I'll see you guys in the next couple of days. I will be doing a follow-up prediction video for 1153 before the spoilers drop, so stay tuned for that. Of course, in this video, in the pinned comment, I will be asking you guys, what are your predictions for 1153? And we will go over some of those as well. I love the community reaction. I love seeing what other people have to say about the chapter because, like I said, I am just one person. I am in an echo chamber with me, myself, and I. So that is why I like to see what you guys have to say, right? I think, you know, I'm just one person. You guys are the community, or we are the community. So, you know, I think it's good to see, you know, differing opinions out there. But of course, with that being said, though, y'all, stay safe. Till then, my name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.